The cry at the doorstep, the wind. Outside howled like a wild beast. Rain hit the old metal walls of the shelter. Inside, the human man sat alone at his small table, a dim light above, flickering now and then. His name was Jace. He was quiet, rough, and liked being far from people, human or alien. He was about to eat his dinner when he heard a sound, not the wind, not an animal. It was crying. Jace stood up. Slowly, the sound came again, soft, broken sobs, like someone begging without words. He reached for the old blaster on his wall. He didn't like visitors, and here, on the edge of the wastelands, uninvited visitors were usually trouble. He walked to the door and pressed a button. It slid open with a rusty hiss. At first he saw nothing but darkness and rain. Then a shape moved, small, thin, kneeling in the mud. It was a girl, an alien girl. She looked young, maybe in her late teens, or whatever counted for that in her species. Her skin was a soft lavender color, almost glowing under the rain. Her eyes were wide and golden, full of fear. She had no shoes. Her clothes were torn. Her body shook from the cold. Before Jace could speak, she dropped to her knees. "I'll be a good girl," she whispered in a shaky voice. "I promise. Just let me stay. Please don't send me back." Jace stared at her. He had seen many things in his life: battlefields, pirates, slavers, but this was something else. He didn't lower his weapon. "Who are you?" he asked, firm but calm. I don't want to die," she sobbed. "Please, let me stay." He looked around the dark terrain. No one else. No lights, no ships. Was she alone? He stepped closer. Her hands were cut. Her face had dried blood under her hair, but she didn't look dangerous. She looked like something broken, something thrown away. Against his usual instinct, Jace lowered the blaster. "Come inside," he said quietly. She hesitated, then crawled forward on her knees and collapsed just inside the door. He closed it fast behind her. The warmth inside made her cry harder. Jace didn't say anything. He didn't touch her. He grabbed a blanket from the shelf and threw it gently over her shoulders. She grabbed it like it was the last soft thing in the world. He set a cup of warm tea on the floor beside her. She didn't look up, just held the blanket tight and drank in small shaking sips. Jay sat down across the room, watching, listening. After a few minutes, she whispered again, "Thank you. Who are you running from?" he asked. She didn't answer. "What's your name?" he tried. Again she shook her head. "I don't remember what they called me." That was a lie, he could tell, but he didn't press her. "Not yet. Are you hurt?" "No, not badly, just tired." She curled up in the corner like a scared animal. Her long, purple tail was tucked under her legs. She was clearly not used to kindness. He stood and walked away, giving her space. But he didn't sleep. Not that night. He stayed awake, blaster on his lap, eyes on the door, and sometimes on her. Later, when she was finally asleep, she began to whisper in her sleep. The words weren't in English. They were soft and strange, alien words, but the tone sounded scared, like she was reliving something painful. Suddenly she cried out, "No, don't take me back. Please, I'll be good." Jace walked over. Her body shook, her fingers curled into fists. He didn't wake her. He just stood there silent. Who was this girl? Where did she come from? And what was she so afraid of? Something wasn't right, and yet she had knocked on his door, and now she was his problem. The next morning the storm had passed. Soft light came through the metal shutters of Jace's shelter. the desert. Outside was quiet again, but inside, something had changed. She was still, asleep in the corner, curled under the blanket like she didn't believe she was safe. Her lavender skin looked pale and her arms were wrapped tightly around her legs. Her tail twitched sometimes as if from bad dreams. Jay stood nearby, watching her. He had questions too many, but he knew pushing her too fast might break her even more. He made breakfast, just eggs and old ration bread. Scent slowly filled the room. Her nose twitched first, then her golden eyes opened slowly. She looked around like she had forgotten where she was, then saw Jay standing at the small stove. "You didn't throw me out," she said quietly. "You're still here," he replied. "And I don't throw out things that cry at my door." She sat up slowly, brushing her tangled hair back. It was silver and long, knotted in places like she hadn't touched it in days. "What's your name?" Jace asked again. She looked down. "They called me Ara." He raised an eyebrow. She didn't answer. Jace placed a plate of food on the small table. Then he sat down with his own plate and waited. After a long pause, Arrow walked over and sat across from him. She looked nervous, like this was a trap, like if she touched the food, someone would hurt her, but hunger won. She picked up the bread and began eating slowly. No one spoke for a while. Then Jace asked, "Where are your people?" She stopped chewing. "I have no people." He didn't press, but he noticed the small blue scars on her wrists, thin marks that looked like chains had been there once. Not normal chains, energy cuffs. She saw him looking and quickly pulled her sleeves down. "You're not from around here," he said. She nodded. "Ship crash?" "No," she whispered. "I was sold here." His jaw clenched. Sold. That explained a lot. "So you ran away?" "Yes, from slavers." She nodded again. Slower this time. "They call them merchants, but it's the same thing. I wasn't enough for them anymore." "What does that mean?" She looked away, tears in her eyes. "They said I was broken, not fun, not useful." Jay sat back, staring at her. He had seen many horrors in his travels, but hearing those words in that soft, broken voice made something twist in his chest. She wasn't lying, but she was still hiding something. Later, while she washed her face at the sink, he checked the sensors. Outside, motion scanners tracking pings. Nothing showed up, but something still didn't feel right. She came back with wet hair tied in a rough knot behind her head. "You can't stay here forever," Jace said. Her shoulders dropped. "I know," she said. "I just needed a place to stop, to breathe." Then she walked to the window and stared at the desert. Her voice was soft when she spoke again. "They tracked me to 3 shelters before this one." Jay stood up sharply. "Are they following you now?" "I don't know, maybe. You should have told me. I didn't want you to send me away." She turned to him, eyes full of panic. "I swear I didn't mean to bring danger. I thought maybe a human would be different." Jace frowned. "Why?" She looked down again. "Because you don't smell like cruelty." That made him pause. He wasn't sure what that meant, but he could tell she wasn't just talking about scent. She meant his presence, his behavior, his energy. That night Jace checked his blaster twice, then 3 times. Ara stayed quiet, sitting by the firelight, her arms wrapped around her knees. She didn't ask questions. She didn't move too much. It was like she was trying to take up as little space as possible. Just before bed, she whispered again, "If they come here, you don't have to protect me. Just tell them you found me outside, that you didn't know." Jace Didn't answer. He lay awake for a long time. What kind of monsters had made her this afraid, and how long before they came knocking on his door? The third night was different. Jace had just finished checking the perimeter sensors when he saw something strange on the radar screen, a flicker of movement near the edge of the canyon, just beyond the ridges that surrounded his shelter. Too fast for an animal, too smooth for a human walking. His face tightened. He turned off the screen and quietly walked to his weapons locker. He didn't say a word to Era, who sat quietly near the heating pipe, holding a warm cup with both hands, but she noticed. You saw something, she whispered. Jace nodded without looking at her. Maybe a drone. Maybe worse. Era stood up slowly. She walked to the window, eyes scanning the horizon. The stars above the desert were bright, but she wasn't looking at the sky. She was listening. Her ears twitched once, then she backed away from the window, her eyes wide. They found. Jace turned to her. How do you know? I can hear their ship's core. They fly low always, makes the air hum just under the rocks. You can't hear it unless you've been near them. Jace walked over and pulled the window shutter closed. How many? I don't know. But they won't stop now. They follow by scent, by heat, by bar frequency. I'm marked. She pulled her sleeve back again and showed him a tiny glowing line under her skin near her collarbone, barely visible, pale blue, almost like a vein. Tracker, she said softly, made for living property. Jace cursed under his breath. He had heard rumors of such devices, illegal, cruel, and impossible to remove without deep surgery. They used old alien tech rejected by most governments. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? He asked, frustrated. Because she swallowed hard. You would have sent me away. He didn't answer, his jaw clenched tight, eyes staring at the mark under her skin. We have to leave, she said. They'll land soon, maybe tonight. I don't run, he replied. They'll kill you. Maybe, but I don't run. There was silence between them. Then softly she asked, why help me, Jace? You don't even know me. He looked at her for a long time. Because you knocked on my door, he said, and because I've seen what happens when good people stay quiet. Era looked down, her lip trembled, but she said nothing. Later that night, the silence outside turned heavy. Even the wind stopped. Then just after midnight, the power flickered once, then again. Jay's eyes snapped open. He was already on his feet when the third flicker came. Era was awake too. She didn't scream, didn't panic. She just whispered, they cut the grid. He grabbed his rifle and moved to the door. He turned back once. If anything happens, hide in the crawl space. Don't make a sound. Don't come out for anyone but me. She didn't argue. He opened the door slowly. The night outside was darker than usual. Clouds had rolled in, hiding the moons. Only light came from a soft blue glow near the horizon, not natural. Jack moved quietly, staying low, scanning with his infrared scope. 3 figures, tall, lean, moving like shadows. He had seen this species before. Merchants from the black markets. They didn't wear armor, but their suits were lined with stun patches and neurogrips, quick to capture, built to control. One of them knelt, scanning the ground with a handheld device. They were tracking her. Jace raised the scope again, aiming just near the center of the lead figure's chest. Then he heard a soft click beside him. He turned. Era had followed him outside. What are you doing? He hissed. I can't let you fight them alone. You don't even have a weapon. I don't need one, she whispered. If they touch me, they win, but if they see me stand, get scared, what does that mean? But she didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward, her hands glowing slightly now, like her skin was reacting to the air. The figure stopped. One of them raised a scanner toward her. Era stared straight ahead. Her voice was calm, clear. This one is not yours, she shouted. The merchant leader stepped forward, holding something sharp in silver. I said, this one is not yours. She screamed louder, her body glowing brighter. Suddenly the device in the leader's hand exploded, snapping like a firecracker. He stumbled back, shouting something in his language. Jay stared at Ara in shock. She was glowing now fully, like a soft blue flame surrounded her. Her eyes, once gold now, looked white hot. What are you, Jace? Whispered. She turned slightly to him and said something he'd never forget. I'm what they created and what they now fear. The next morning, the desert was quiet again. Too quiet. The strange blue light had faded. The tracks in the sand broken and scattered led away from the shelter, like the invaders had run, not walked. Jack didn't sleep that night. He stood guard with his rifle, watching Era from across the room. She sat by the corner, arms wrapped around herself, face blank. She hadn't spoken since the incident, not a word. He finally broke the silence. You said you're what they created. What did you mean? She didn't look up. They didn't want a girl. They wanted a weapon. Her voice was flat cold. I was bred in a lab, not born. I was mixed with other species. Some human, some not. My blood, it reacts to certain frequencies. They thought I could be trained, controlled. Jay sat down across from her. You fought back, she nodded. The power they gave me, they didn't understand it. It only works when I'm scared or angry. She raised her hand slowly. A soft blue spark ran across her skin. That's why they call me broken, she said bitterly. Because they couldn't force me to use it the way they wanted. I only used it to escape. Jay stared at her, not with fear but with something else, respect. You're not broken, he said. You just learned to survive. Era blinked, thought no one had ever said that to her. Not once. She looked down. I don't know who I am anymore. He stood up and poured her a cup of water, then figure it out. Here, one step at a time. She looked at him and whispered, why are you like this? Like what kind? Jace didn't answer right away. Then he said, because I've seen what unkindness does. I don't want to be part of that anymore. That afternoon, Jace took apart one of the broken scanner devices left behind by the merchants. Its core was cracked, but some wires were still working. Era watched him silently as he worked. Her eyes followed every movement, like she was studying his hands, memorizing them. What are you doing? She asked softly, trying to understand. What they used to track you. If I can reverse the signal, maybe I can make them think you've moved somewhere else. She nodded. Smart. I'm not smart, he said, just stubborn. She smiled a little, the first smile he had seen. I think I like that. He raised his eyebrow. What, your stubbornness? She said shyly. It's the first thing that's made me feel safe. He didn't know how to reply to that. So he went back to the wires. That evening something changed again. As the sun dipped below the rocks, Era stepped outside the shelter for the first time since she arrived. The dry wind moved her silver hair gently as she looked out at the silent dunes. Jace followed her but kept His distance, she turned to him. Suddenly, do you want to know what I was made for? No, he said, honestly. I care about who you are now. She looked surprised, but then she told him. Anyway, they trained me to detect enemy emotions, to feel pain before they did, to shut down minds using frequency waves. I could disable people with only a thought, but only if I feared them. First, Jace listened, his hands behind his back. They kept me in a glass room. When I cried, they shocked me. When I screamed, they fed me. They wanted me. Confused, emotional, that's how the power grows. Did anyone ever help you? He asked quietly. She shook her head. No, not until you opened the door. He sighed. Then maybe it's time you stop running. She looked up at him. But I'm still marked. They'll keep coming. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. It was a small black chip humming softly. This was under your skin, he said. I took it out last night while you slept. Painfully, yes, but it's done. She gasped, stepping forward. Her hand touched her collarbone. Nothing there. Now her eyes filled with tears. You removed it, he nodded, and I've programmed it to send a false trail south toward the trade cities. They'll go hunting in the wrong direction. Era covered her mouth, shaking. She didn't say thank you. She just ran to him and hugged him, not out of fear, but out of something else. Do warmth, trust, hope. And for the first time in her life, she whispered, I feel free. The wind was calm again, for the first time in days. Ara slept without shaking. Her face, once pale with fear, looked softer. Now she curled up near the small heater, with her blanket wrapped tightly. Breathing slow and steady, Jace sat on the roof of the shelter, looking through his old binoculars. He scanned the ridge lines again and again, but there was nothing, no lights, no movement, no threat, and still something didn't feel right. His instincts were old, sharpened by years of surviving alone, but they had never failed him. He lit a small flare and stuck it into the sand, pretending it was just for marking a safe zone, but in truth it was a test. If someone was watching, they'd react. 3 hours passed. No reaction. He went back inside. Era had woken up. She was sitting cross-legged now, brushing her hair with an old human comb Jace had given her. She looked peaceful, almost like a normal girl, except for the glowing blue scars on her wrist that would never fade. You didn't sleep, she said. He shrugged. Didn't need to. She smiled faintly. You lie like someone who's been alone too long. Jace chuckled. Maybe. Era watched him closely. You live like this every day, alone with no one. He nodded. Better than being surrounded by people you can't trust. Do you trust me? He paused. Then he nodded once. Yes, now I do. Era's smile grew a little and she looked down. Her fingers played with the edge of her blanket. After a moment she asked softly, what happens now? Jay stood and picked up a small bag. We prepare. If they realize we tricked them, they'll come back, and next time they'll bring more. She stood up. Then I fight too. You don't have to, he said quickly. I want to, she replied. I'm tired of hiding, tired of being scared. You removed the chip. You gave me choice. Now let me choose. He didn't argue this time. Instead, he opened old trunk and pulled out a compact weapon, not a gun, something alien design, thin and sharp like a dagger, but made from crystal. It pulsed with soft light. What is that? Era asked, curious. It's from the ear wars, Jay said. Humans called it a resonance blade. It reacts to emotion. He handed it to her carefully. The moment her fingers touched it, the blade lit up in blue fire, almost the same glow as her skin when she used her power. Jace raised an eyebrow. Well, I guess it likes you. Era laughed a small, real laugh. She held the blade close. It feels right, like it belongs with me. That night they trained. Jace taught her simple combat stances, how to balance her steps, how to strike without losing energy. Era learned fast, too fast. Her movements were graceful, precise, like she'd been made for it, and maybe she had but more than skill. She was steady. Now, not the same girl who cried at his doorstep, that not the one who begged to stay. This was someone else. Someone who had found her feet and was ready to stand. The next morning, Jace saw a dot in the distance, far beyond the ridges. Dot was rising from the sand. Drone Dot. He grabbed the binoculars and locked in on it. Dot. It was black, spherical, and slow, scanning as it moved. Not a weapon. A scout. They're checking the false signal, he muttered. Dot. Ara stood beside him. Will they realize it's fake eventually? Then we should move. No, he said. We make it look like we already left. They packed quickly. Rations, weapons, fuel. Jay set the auto burn on the old generator to overload. After 12 hours, a delayed explosion to cover their tracks. Dot. By sunset, they were gone, but they didn't go far. Dot. Just into the mountain caves above the canyon. Places Jace had mapped years ago but never used. Inside the dark tunnels, Era lit the path with her faint glow. It was cold, quiet, and strangely peaceful. She paused near a flat wall of rock and sat down. Jace sat next to her. Tired, a little, she said, but mostly thinking about what? She looked at him. Why, you didn't leave me behind. He leaned back against the stone. I told you. You knocked. I opened the door, but you didn't have to. You chose to. He glanced at her. So did you. Era looked down. Then she whispered, I wasn't begging just to survive that night. I think I was begging for someone to finally see me. He didn't speak. Dot. She leaned her head gently on his shoulder, and in that quiet moment, between haunted steps and broken pasts, they both realized they weren't alone anymore. The caves were cold but safe for now. Dot. Deep in the dark, hidden among the rocks, Jace had set up a small thermal net. No signals could pass through. No trackers could find them. Era slept nearby, curled in a blanket, her silver hair glowing faintly in the firelight. Jace sat awake, cleaning the blade she now carried. The resonance crystal still pulsed with her energy, even when she wasn't touching it. He had seen alien tech react to emotion before, but never like this. It had bonded with her. She wasn't just powerful, she was dangerous to the wrong people, and that made her target. Dot. At dawn, Jace noticed something strange. Birds, 4 of them, flying in a perfect circle above the canyon. Too perfect, too quiet. He tapped the rock beside Ara's head. Wake up. She blinked fast. What is it? Company. Ara was already on her feet, holding her blade. They followed. No. They're watching, waiting. She walked toward the cave entrance. Then we make them wait longer, but she didn't look afraid. She looked ready. Jace nodded. We have 2 choices, keep hiding or strike first. Era turned to him. Then we strike. By nightfall they had moved to a higher ledge. From there they saw the ship land. It was quiet, sleek, and black as oil. No markings, no flags. 3 figures exited. Dot. Not the same ones as before. These were bigger, heavily armored, silent assassins, not trackers. Jace lowered his scope. They're not here to capture you. Ours Eyes narrowed. I know they're here too. And you, she didn't flinch. Instead, she took a long breath and stepped forward. Into the open. Her blue glow lit the rocks beneath her feet like starlight. She stood there tall and still as if daring them to look up. Jay stayed. Hidden, rifle aimed, heartbeat steady. One of the assassins raised a scanner. It crackled with interference, then suddenly exploded in his hand. The others moved quickly, one drawing a plasma blade, the other a sonic disruptor. Ara raised her arm, her body shimmered with power, the air bent around her like heat waves. I'm not yours, she shouted. A wave of light burst out from her chest, soundless but heavy. The rock under her cracked. Closest assassin fell to his knees. The second one ran forward, too fast for Jace to shoot, but not too fast for Ara. She turned sharply, and the resonance blade flew into her hand like it had waited for her. One clean slash and the plasma weapon shattered. The assassin staggered back, Stunjuk fired one precise shot straight through his helmet. The second one dropped. Only one remained. He activated a force shield and backed away slowly. Ara stepped closer, power humming in her chest. Tell your masters, she said. Voice calm. I'm not hiding anymore. Then she stabbed the ground. Energy from the blade surged through the stone, shooting forward like lightning. It struck the last assassin's shield and shattered it completely. He screamed, fell to the ground, and disappeared in a flash of blue light teleport signal. Ara fell to her knees, panting. Jack ran forward. Are you hurt? She shook her head. Just used too much at once. He helped her sit against the rock. You just took out 3 assassins alone, he said. She gave a small smile. Not alone, you shot one, he chuckled. Then her smile faded. They won't stop, Jace. I know they'll send more, stronger, smarter, he nodded. Then we hit first. She looked up. What? We don't wait. We don't hide. We go to them. You mean the merchants? Jay's voice turned cold. Yes, we end it where it started. Ara hesitated. Their ships are guarded. Their base moves every few days. You'll never find them alone. He stood then. Good thing I'm not alone. Her eyes widened, and in that moment she realized something. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was choosing to fight back with him. Jace offered his hand. She took it. The blue glow around her fingertips merged briefly with the skin of his palm. No pain, just warmth. Something had changed. No longer prey. No longer a runaway. She was becoming a weapon of her own design, and Jace, he was the one man crazy enough to stand beside her. Together they looked out at the burning ship. Together they planned a war that was coming. They traveled at night. Jace and Ara moved through the desert. Shadows, avoiding patrol ships, drones, and sensors. Ara kept her glow dim, hiding her power except when needed. She had learned to control it. Now her fear no longer controlled her. She was calm, focused, sharp. Jack had changed too. He wasn't just a loner anymore. He had a reason to fight, a reason to plan, a reason to keep going, and it stood beside him with glowing eyes and a silent blade. Their goal was the Black Market drop site, an old crater in the eastern dunes where the merchants sometimes stopped to trade rare things. Weapons, slaves, information. Ara had once been one of those things. Not anymore. The crater appeared on the third night. Inside it, tents made of dark fabric stood in the circle, glowing with artificial lights. Alien guards moved slowly between them, Some were tall and brutal looking, others floated without legs. Every species here had blood on their hands. Era and Jace waited on a hill above the crater, watching from the rocks. Are you sure? He asked quietly. She nodded. That's the one who kept me caged. She pointed to a creature standing near the central tent. His skin was dry and cracked, his eyes yellow and cruel. A whip hung at his side, not for animals but for beings like her. Jace looked down at his rifle. Let's make this count. Era stood up. I'll go first. He grabbed her arm gently. Don't go alone. She smiled faintly. I'm not. Then she walked down the hill. No one noticed her at first as she wore a simple hood, head down, step slow, just another servant girl maybe. But when she reached the edge of the camp, her hood fell. The glow of her eyes caught attention immediately. Guards shouted, weapons raised. She didn't flinch. Instead, she raised her voice. I am not your property. Blades hummed, plasma rifles powered up, but she kept speaking. I am not your tool. I am not your price. The merchant with the whip turned sharply, his face twisted in disbelief. You're supposed to be dead. Era stepped forward. You took my body. You tried to break my mind, but my soul that belongs to no one. He screamed and raised his weapon, but then one shot echoed. Jace's bullet hit the side of his tent, exploding a flashbang shell. The camp turned chaotic and Ara moved. Her blade appeared in her hand like a piece of lightning. She dashed forward faster than they expected. She wasn't afraid anymore. She didn't hesitate. One guard lunged. She sliced his arm. Another fired. She deflected the blast. JC moved from the cliffside, covering her path with precise shots. Every time a weapon aimed for her, he was there. Every step forward they took together, they weren't just attacking, they were ending it. The whip merchant tried to run. Ara caught him at the ship's edge. He begged, stammering, offering her anything. Don't kill me, he cried. I'll give you freedom. I'll erase your records. She stepped closer. You still don't get it. She leaned in, whispering, I'm already free. Then without a scream, without a word, she cut his tracker pad from his belt and crushed it under her foot. She didn't need to kill him. She'd already destroyed what gave him power. Jace walked over, rifle lowered. It's done, he said. No, Era said quietly. Now it's done. Together they walked out of the burning camp as alarms wailed behind them, that no one chased them, that no one dared. 2 days later, the desert stretched quiet again. They set up camp far away, deep in the canyon valleys. Jace fixed a solar panel while Era boiled tea over a small fire. She looked different now, stronger, standing straighter, smiling more. The glow was still there, but softer now, controlled. I never said thank you, she said. Jack looked up. You don't have to. I do. She insisted. You didn't just give me a place to stay. You gave me something I never had. What's that? A future. He nodded slowly. Then stay as long as you want. She smiled, then stood. She walked over to him, sat beside him on the sand, and leaned her shoulder against his. I will, she said, not because I have nowhere else to go, but because I choose to. He didn't say anything. He just sat there quietly beside the girl who once cried on his doorstep. Thought not a prisoner, not a runaway, not a weapon, but a girl with strength, a voice, and a new beginning. Together they watched the sky. Together they were no longer alone. The ND.